Hey, what's up, everybody? Breaking news. It's starting to get ever spicier. We're going to go through some more horrible news for Kristi Noem. She just keeps screwing herself and making herself look like an idiot for the country, for South Dakota. And I'm pretty sure she's, breaking the law. So we'll go over that right now.
And for 5 minutes questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to go back to Mr. Kilmar Abrego Garcia's case, Madam Secretary. But my first question for you is a pretty simple one. It's basic civics. Which branch of government does the Constitution give the authority to interpret what the law is, the judiciary or the executive branch?
Sir, going forward, the interpretation of the law, you make the laws in this body. The judicial branch makes sure that they have integrity and they're applied properly to individuals.
So I'm just going to take that as the judiciary branch. Now, let's focus for a second on what the judiciary branch has said about this case. We know the Supreme Court has said 9-0 that, notwithstanding your statements under oath here today, that Mr. Kilmar Abrego Garcia was afforded due process. He was, in fact, not afforded due process, because then if he were, you would have seen the withholding order that did not permit him to be deported to El Salvador. Now, you allege, and I guess the Attorney General alleges, that he's a member of MS-13. That may very well be the case. And if he is, now that that is a foreign terrorist organization, certainly the immigration laws would allow him and in fact require him to be deported. I certainly would support that. But the problem that we have here is what you allege, what Ms. Green alleges, what the Attorney General alleges, is not the judiciary. You don't get to decide whether or not he is an MS-13 member. And you don't have to take my word for it, because Judge Wilkinson, a Fourth Circuit judge, very conservative, addressed this argument. He said, the government asserts that Abrego Garcia is a terrorist and a member of MS-13. Perhaps, but perhaps not. Regardless, he is still entitled to due process. If the government is confident in its position, it should be assured that position will prevail in proceedings to terminate the withholding of removal order. Will you commit right now to give Mr. Abrego Garcia that process where you can prove your allegation that he is a member of MS-13?
Congressman, that judge that you just quoted did not say he was not a member of MS-13. Who did say that he was a member?
That is perjury. She's speaking under oath. And, how much longer do we just let this administration just deliberately misread the words that are right in front of them? I mean, she's obviously lying. She's got that smirk and that smugness. And, any 12-year-old knows how to read, can read. Okay.
As a member of MS-13, was law enforcement officers that encountered this individual.
Yeah, he knows that. This is a Fourth Circuit judge. He knows all of what the evidence is, and he's saying if that evidence. So you're not going to commit to follow this order. You won't commit to follow this court order.
By the way, he identified
Madam Secretary,
himself.
I reclaim my time. Stop filibustering. Stop filibustering.
By gang members of MS-13.
Will you give Mr. Abrego Garcia the due process that the Supreme Court and Judge Wilkinson has required you to give him?
Abrego Garcia is an El Salvador resident who is in his home country. If he were to come back to this country, he would be immediately removed again.
How do you know?
He has received and been treated appropriately,
sir,
and he is not.
How can you say he's been treated appropriately if the Supreme Court has ruled 9-0? 9-0 that he hasn't been treated appropriately? Why is your opinion better
We had
and
two
have more authority than the Supreme Court.
investigators, 2 judges, an immigration court that all said he was MS-13 and was removed.
Doesn't matter. None of that matters. What the senator here is trying to articulate, and I think he did a great job, but I just want to chime in myself. But no, the executive can only bring allegations. They can only make accusations. They cannot adjudicate. They cannot find somebody guilty of anything. They have no power to make the distinction between innocence versus guilt.
Was removed from this country.
But you understand, that is you saying that. That is you saying that.
That is them saying that. This
No,
is
no, no, no.
investigators and law
That is
enforcement
you
officers
making that
and the case they
determination.
built against him. If you don't
The
trust our law
court
enforcement
has
officers
considered all that.
and
The judge has
investigators,
considered all that,
then
Madam
who do you
Secretary.
trust if you
And
don't
if you would be
trust judges?
quiet, because I'm reclaiming my time, you are not following this court order. But let's focus on the court order, because this opinion also says that to facilitate, which the Supreme Court is requiring, is an active verb. It requires that steps be taken. What steps have you taken to return Mr. Abrego Garcia to allow him to get due process?
Abrego Garcia is in his home country.
What
If he were to come
steps
back,
have
your
you
advocacy-
taken?
If your continued advocacy for him were to...
I'm not advocating for him.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
advocating for a
Absolutely.
court order, Madam
Gone to the
Secretary.
mat for this
The
man
court
who
order
has terrorized
says
people
that
in
you
traffic
must take
with human
steps
beings.
to follow the court order. You are here under oath. What steps have you taken to return Mr. Abrego Garcia pursuant to this court order?
It's got to be extremely discouraging to be one of your constituents, to see you fight for a terrorist like this and not fight for them is extremely alarming to me.
I'm fighting for due process, and that's under the Constitution.
Yeah, I hit the pause button a couple of times towards the end there. You noticed that. Basically, she's assaulting, or she's antagonizing the oversight by suggesting that he's bad to his constituents. I would counter that Kristi Noem is in fact the one who is bad to her constituents. Eventually, South Dakota may need some emergency funding from FEMA for a weather-related issue. I understand we've had floods recently. Last year, I think there was, and then there was a Direcco storm, and obviously blizzards are an issue. But, Kristi Noem wants to yank all the federal funding for emergencies, weather emergencies. All right. We'll move on to the next topic here.
Recognize Mr. Swalwell for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. You have an important job. I think you have one of the most important jobs in the cabinet. Thank you for doing it. I want you to have credibility and be taken seriously as you do the job. And so I want to put to rest this question about Mr. Garcia in this photo that the president posted on April 21. Madam Secretary, you agree that the letters MS and the number 13 in Times Roman numeral font, that they're doctored on this photo, right?
Congressman Abrego Garcia,
No, I'm just asking
member
about
of
this
MS-13,
photo.
it wasn't based off of tattoos. It was
Okay.
based off an entire case.
And I'll accept
entire
that
case against him.
for the purpose of this question. You agree, though, that this is doctored, is that right?
The same protocols that are
Madam
applied
Secretary,
to every
I want you to have
individual with law
credibility,
enforcement.
and I want you to be taken seriously. Is this doctored or is it not
Sir,
doctored?
I am taken quite seriously
Is it
because
If Kristi Noem was in court right now, she'd be arrested. She'd be sent straight to jail for contempt, perjury, obstruction. And that's just the process-related stuff. When you get into the human rights stuff, I mean, they're assaulting people, they're kidnapping people, they're abducting people. And it doesn't matter if they are MS-13, because everybody has rights. And so they have to prove it in court in order to justify the power. They can't just skip past go, so to speak. This ain't Monopoly, and it's not going to end well.
As
Doctored
I approach
or
my
not
job
doctored?
With the importance that the president has given me to do
I
my
understand.
job.
Is it doctored or not
One thing
doctored?
that's important to remember is that every single time a case is built.
Madam
against
Secretary, I have a
individuals in the
7-year-old, a
same
6-year-old, and a
protocols.
3-year-old. I have a bullshit detector. I'm just asking you, is this doctored or not doctored?
Sir, the protocols in the case built against
Can you
Abrego
answer the
Garcia
question?
were exactly the same.
Madam Secretary,
I don't have
you're-
any knowledge as to that photo you're pointing to.
Okay, can you
I
take her,
don't, sir.
can you show her the photo? Walk her the photo down there. No, that one. Please take a look at this photo. It was tweeted by the president on April 21. It's been hanging out there for about a month.
So what is your point?
My question is the numbers and the letter MS-13. Could you look at the photo, please? It's right in front of
Are
you.
you saying Abrego Garcia is not a wife
No,
beater?
no, ma'am.
That he's not a criminal?
Ma'am,
He's not a human trafficker? And
ma'am,
he's not a
you-
member?
Disgusting behavior by Kristi Noem. I hope you would all agree that this is just unacceptable, antagonizing the Oversight Committee. She cannot say that to a judge. She can't talk that way to a judge, and she knows that. And I want to see her personally stand in court and have to answer for all this.
Member of MS.
You vouched for Mr. Garcia when
You're
your team
vouching for
said,
a man
ma'am, you
that is
vouched
a
for him when
known
you said he was
violent
mistakenly
criminal.
deported.
Sir,
I didn't vouch for him.
I did not say
In that
He
photo,
should have been deported. Absolutely.
It's so
There was
telling
never
that
a
you
mistake
won't look
to
at the
deport him,
photo.
and we will not be bringing
Was
him back
it
to this
doctored or
country.
not?
In staying here, if
Can you
he
look
comes
to
back
your
this
right
country, he
at
would
the
be
photo in
leaving
front
right
of you?
away.
Madam Secretary, can you look to the right at the photo in front of you?
I have seen this
Okay.
photo as you held it behind your head.
Thank you. And the letters MS and the numbers 13, are those
Is
doctored
this your
or
entire
not?
testimony today is on a doctored photo? You don't want to talk about the facts?
Okay,
The
so
importance of our national security?
You acknowledge it was
Do to
doctored.
make sure that the United States is protected?
Madam Secretary,
from
this is not a
violent
hard question.
criminals?
Are those doctored or not?
Sir,
Is that actually on his hand or not?
This is unbelievable to me that you're focused.
It's unbelievable
on a
to me
photo
that you can't
think-
look at the photo and tell the
I
American
looked at
people.
the photo, but I don't have any knowledge as to this photo.
Okay, so it's been hanging out there for 4 weeks. You are one of the chief law enforcement officials in the country. What have you done to investigate whether the president misrepresented the reason that that person has been detained?
Sir,
have
we
you
spend our
done
time-
anything to try and figure out whether that was doctored or not?
The mission of the Department of Homeland Security is to secure our nation and to make sure that we're out there going after those that are the worst of the worst, the criminals, the bad actors. Abrego Garcia.
So the
Again, the executive branch must be blind to the scales of justice. It's just how it is. She doesn't get to decide the outcome of any action. The only thing they can do is ask a judge permission. That's it. That's all they can do. They have no power of themselves. And they act like they have personal power, personal authority. And they don't.
the answer is
The
you've done
known
nothing to
terrorist,
correct the
member
president.
of MS-13, a wife
Okay.
beater and a human
Okay.
trafficker that should never have been in this country to begin with.
So, Madam Secretary, thank you, Mr. Burnett. 2 weeks ago, your agency deported a 4-year-old American citizen in a stage 4 cancer battle. What are you doing to get him back to the country so he can get his treatment?
Congressman, this mother wished to keep her family together and to take her child with her. So as every single person is given the opportunity to, medical care is given throughout the process.
so it sounds like
And for this
nothing.
child, medical care was confirmed in their home country so that it would continue, and those treatments and whatever needs were needed to be had into the future were confirmed to be provided there before.
That child's home country is the United States. Do you believe you have a right to deport a U.S. citizen?
That mother chose to keep her family together, and that is what President Trump is focused on. I'm
That's
making
not the
sure
facts of the case.
that- yes, it is the facts.
Madam
This
Secretary,
I think Kristi Noem hates women. I mean, I think she hates other women, and I think that's why we're seeing so many women get like manhandled and roughed up by ICE. is because I think she's ordering it. She has just a personal disdain for foreign women and their babies. Very sick, evil. I mean, see, the government is just a servant. It is not a ruler, not a master. If we're a free country, the government doesn't get to decide who gets to come in from who gets to leave. See what I'm saying? Because if they can control who comes in, then eventually they'll start being able to say that you can't leave. That's why it's so important that we push back on this.
Secretary, moving on,
Confirmed that she wanted to
do
keep
you
her
have a
child
right?
with her, and our families and parents are given that ability to keep their children with them when they return to their home countries.
Madam Secretary, do you have a right to deport a U.S. citizen?
No, we do not deport U.S. citizens and have not deported U.S. citizens.
Except the 4-year-old that we just
No,
referenced.
that mother chose to keep her child with her, and that is her
Kristi Noem is going to hell.
prerogative, and the law was followed in allowing her the opportunity to do that.
So, Madam Secretary, I'm a former prosecutor. I have put people away for life sentences who are gang members. I don't need to wear costumes to show how tough I am. What makes me different from you is when I put those individuals away, I did it with the weight of the law behind me. And I yield back.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to move on. All right, and here's another article that's very important. It did just come out today, May 14th. So you can see that. The Justice Department asks Civil Rights Division attorneys to stay after mass exits. This is fallout from Doge and all the mass firings. Now they're realizing that they actually need people that they fired. Problem is, the people they fired, they don't want to work for, assholes. The Department of Justice is more or less just a skeleton crew. Most all of the lawyers have walked out, quit, resigned. The only people they have left are like juniors, amateurs, people who have no idea what they're doing. That's why they can't win in court. And it's also why, real criminals can do whatever they want right now. Because the whole law enforcement thing has been diverted to immigration, and they're not even finding any criminals in the illegal immigrant community, because most of them are just here and not actually criminals. But just wanted to read through some of this. It's unclear how many attorneys were asked to stay and how many, if any, accepted. The Guardian has confirmed that the request was made at least of attorneys in the Educational Opportunities section, which enforces anti-discrimination law in schools. Many of the Trump administration's priorities, including challenging DEI programs, investigating allegations of anti-Semitism on campus, and limiting the rights of transgender people, fall under the purview of this section. So right away you have a conflict there because there's no taxation without representation. So in a public atmosphere, the civil rights attorneys actually do have to defend the rights of transgender people. Now, obviously, like, private property is different. Whoever pays the rent, whoever pays the bills can decide who is allowed on their property. Obviously, I don't support infringing upon religious small businesses and things like that. So I understand you have to balance the transgender issue with the people that don't accept that. But in a public square, the transgender has to have rights, human rights, because they're paying taxes into it. There's no taxation without representation. So I just wanted to touch on that. And again, they cannot use a civil rights division to violate or deprive civil rights. So that's the issue with this. And well, as you can see up here, more than 250 civil rights division attorneys left since January or are planning to leave, 70% reduction. I'm going to guess that's equivalent and on par with the criminal prosecution attorneys, because you can't prosecute when you're breaking the law. Like, prosecutors can't go along with a rogue, unlawful government. So that is that. One more breaking story that Vosh picked up on. And I'll just let him say it.
So this is interesting. What legitimate reasons could there be for not being transparent with the Mexican government while trying to work on a deal with family members of a captured cartel leader?
Okay, so right away, Donald Trump, he's open for business, right? And he just wants to curry favor and power. The Sinaloa cartel is immensely wealthy and powerful. So there's no doubt in my mind that, of course, El Chapo would benefit from cozying up to Trump. And, I'm sure Trump loves El Chapo, and, why wouldn't he, but yeah, this, you can listen to Vosh do his whole bit, but it has to do with this article from the New York Times where cartel family members cross border in apparent deal with U.S. So again, it's just the duplicity of the immigration double standards. You know what I mean? Like, kicking out working moms and families and good people, but then importing 17 family members of the Sinaloa cartel, relatives of El Chapo, and they're not being prosecuted. You understand? They're coming in as partners. They've been given full immunity in exchange for, like, the information they're gonna snitch on other Mexican cartels. If anybody thinks that they're going to give any information of substance, that's insane. These people pledge their lives. They're not going to divulge anything real or anything that they can't afford to get rid of, because that's how they operate. So yeah, this is just more, I think this is Trump recognizing that he can never really beat the cartels, because I don't think they could be beaten. And so I think he's trying to strike up a deal with them. The whole thing about Trump is he wants to make a deal with any type of power that he feels he cannot directly confront or manipulate. It's just really strange. Like, he only respects, like, foreign dictators and crime bosses. So yeah. Anyway, thank you to all my new subscribers. Please like and share, and spread the love, spread the message, and please give me feedback, pointers. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me what I'm doing right. All right. Thank you.